Hey everyone, it's DFA, welcome back to the channel, and yes, we have another ship in the game whose name I can pronounce it, the first French CV, le Béarn, and I was super excited about that thing when Wargaming first released it, and oh boy, how can I say it? Let's say that it did not really meet expectations. Let's take a look at it. So usually French ships are super fast, they favor hit and run flanking tactics. This thing does not, absolutely not. It's quite survivable, comparable with the low and hard. The concealment is very good at 8 kilometers, believe me, you will need it, you will see in the gameplay. The maximum speed is atrocious, 21 knots, that is tier 4 territory, and the rest of maneuverability stats are absolutely disgusting as well. You're getting 8 155mm guns, 4 on each side, decent range, 8 kilometers, decent damage, but unfortunately only 8 degrees of turret rotation. Getting them on target with your atrocious maneuverability will be a real problem. So, no secondaries, dive bombers, you get 24 of them, wow, quite nice. 2 squadrons, 3 planes per squadron, decent prep time, 2 bombs per plane, so really good HP pool, almost 40,000, really good DPM for your dive bombers, 15,000, but 2 issues with that. First one, they drop AP bombs, so no fire and flooding for you, and then second, wait for it, no torpedo bombers. They are your only source of damage, so you're completely reliant on RNG to be dealing damage with that thing. No fire and flooding as well for you to complement. So unsurprisingly, you're getting the worst DPM at tier 6 by quite a margin, because keep in mind, fire and flooding damage, it's not taken into account, and all the other CVs can actually use it to some extent. Luckily you do get excellent fighters, 15 of them, that's quite a lot more than the other tier 6 CV, 2 squadrons of 3, decent preparation time, insane amount of HP, 10,000, that is actually tier 8 territory. And excellent attack damage as well, 450, and for almost 400 dogfight, that is, so you're getting tier 8 fighters at tier 6. Does that sound familiar to you? Yeah, it's really poor game design. So we're back at it, I guess. And then the AA is absolutely ridiculously bad as well. So it looks like Wargaming just created another Saipan, this time at tier 6, well actually, no, it's a little bit more complicated than that for 2 reasons. So the playstyle is effectively going to be quite similar to the Saipan. You will destroy everything that flies in the air, and you will focus by destroying first the enemy CVs fighters, because at tier 6 most CVs have between 6 and 9 fighters, so it's going to go very fast. There is no way you're actually going to lose a dogfight with the fighters of the Béarn against any other tier 6 CV. So case in point, you see we're going to, yeah, that's the Furious, so those are the worst. But unlike the Saipan, you know, the Saipan is actually can be quite entertaining to play, because it takes a lot of skill to do very well. Here, what you are left with, once you've destroyed the fighters and the bombers of the enemy CV, are just 2 stupid dive bomber squadron that do not take any skill to aim, that do not deal any damage, and that essentially what you have to do is you have to get insanely close to the action, number 1, and number 2, you pick the targets that are also the closest, because you want to minimize the flight time. There you go, there, up, another dogfight there, and you see that I've already dogfighted them once. I'm going to trash them another time without losing a single fighter, so yeah, that's how ridiculous those fighters are, to be honest, but they're not super fast, so you can actually handle them when, I hope that you can actually handle them when you're confronted with them. And in the meantime, we've already sent 2 waves of dive bombers for a meager 6,000 damage. So the dive bombers, so their AP, they're not necessarily going to overpen enemy destroyers. They will actually deal full damage most of the time, and they will also be able to deal full damage to battleships. So they're fairly consistent. They're also fairly mediocre. But they're consistent in their mediocrity, let's put it this way. So there you go, we get rid of that Knevny. That was an insane Just so much skill from me. Wow, absolutely amazing. Now you see that I'm actually anticipating. I'm moving with the rest of my team because yeah, remember that thing is not your typical French ship. It moves very, very slowly. Imagine you're trying to steer a Langley. That's exactly what you're getting here. And so you have to anticipate a lot, and so that's a bit of the tricky part of that thing, because if you stay too far away from the action, your planes will take forever to get there, and you will end up with 20,000 damage at the end of the game. I'm not joking. But if you try to get any closer, well, you first getting closer will actually be quite complicated, because you really have incredibly limited amount of mobility, but second, surviving there and getting out of tricky situations will be also a challenge. So really what you're seeing here is I'm staying as close as I can to my Mackensen, and I'm trying to stay, there you go, that's how to maximize your damage. If you get a clean shot on the enemy CV, then just take it, because yeah, just that's where you will deal the most damage. So we're almost done with the bombers of the Furious. He should not have too many planes left in his hangar. And that is usually what will happen with the, yeah, there you go, that's the strike on the enemy CV, 11 hits, 8,000 damage, so yeah, that's pretty decent. So that's usually what will happen with the Béarn, is two scenarios: either you get rushed by the enemy team, you're too slow to get away, you get deleted, or you will be able to support your team, get rid of the enemy CV. You're actually going to shut down the enemy CV by the middle of the game, and then what you are left with is just a super slow moving platform with only 2 dive bombers. And so yeah, there's not a single element of skill as of now. It's just clicking to be dealing damage, and that's it. And notice that you have to get as close as you can to minimize the flight time, because otherwise you're not getting anything done with that thing. 21,000 damage, and it's 2 minutes left. And so that's you will see me there trying to survive the onslaught of that Black Fushun and that KGV, because essentially that's you have to take an insane amount of risk to make that thing work. So that's probably the skill element of that thing, because it's certainly not going from the planes. But the thing is, I mean, and that's why I've called it really poor game design. I mean, what Wargaming has done is very simple. They've put tier 8 fighters at tier 6, and they've essentially nerfed the Béarn in all other dimensions. The mobility is absolutely ridiculously bad, the dive bombers are bad, the AA is bad, it's a big target, the guns are very tricky to use. So essentially what you are left with is a ship that is very good at countering any other enemy CV, and that's about it. That's it, really. There's nothing else to see with that thing. It's just a fleet ship. It's going to be very good at protecting you from enemy CVs, but concretely, in terms of dealing damage, capping bases, being an active contributor or a part of the game, well, it's just incredibly limited, to be honest. So there you see me being rushed by the Fushun, the Mackensen Mackensen got deleted by the KGV, so I'm going to send my last, yeah, you see the guns. It takes forever to get them on target, and once you get them on target, yeah, it's not super spectacular indeed. So really, it's, I mean, if by giving an overpowered characteristic to a ship, you really have to nerf all the rest. I mean, it's not fun for the enemy CV as well. It's not fun for you, because honestly, I do really love playing CVs, but I really hated playing this one. If you're going to play it solo, prepare to be frustrated, because even carrying bot games will be complicated with that thing. I am not joking. Just getting an MVP in a bot game with that thing is not easy. You really have to work hard for it. But there you go, we finished this game, we won it, only because the enemy Fushun did not YOLO me in an appropriate way a little bit earlier. And you see it, MVP 33,000 damage and 2 kills. So Béarn for me a major disappointment, and I think the worst is yet to come with that thing, because Wargaming is certainly going to buff it at some point in time to increase the damage output, because yeah, I could share my stats with that thing, but it's really subpar when I compare it with my other tier 6 CV. It's not even in the same league. And essentially that's where we will have a problem when it's actually when it becomes capable of dealing a significant amount of damage. For the moment it's not the case, so you have been warned, you know what you are getting into with that thing. It's not meant to carry games, it's not meant to be played solo, it's meant to be a team support ship, it's meant to neutralize enemy CV, and that's it. Yeah, and it's nowhere near as fun as the other friendships in the game. So that's the end of my review. Stay safe, take care. That was DFA signing out. Bye bye!